getting ready for the Pro Tour. But right now we have Adam Wise playing Boris Prowess in front of you versus Ryan on Bant Combo, better known as Nadu, I believe.
Yeah, I believe this is a Nadu combo deck. And, thank you for breaking down all that. A lot of exciting stuff happening here on the Energy Series, including, as you mentioned, Adam Weiss, winner of the RC, known for playing the aggressive decks, playing the Boros Prowess versus, like you mentioned, Bat combo, which will be Nadu. A pretty typical look. We saw Connor playing this in round number 1 with a Black Splash. We're kind of foregoing the Black Splash here. For Stoneforge Mystics, I mean, a really traditional Bant look. We're heavier on Teferi. We're heavier on that. We have Giver of Runes present as well. Just truly a creature combo deck, not really dabbling as much with the spells.
Yeah, and we're seeing here just a Lush Portico to start things off. In a parlor from Adam, a very slow start for, 2 decks that can get on the board very quickly. Interesting to see sort of, kind of what Adam kept, where maybe it was a mulligan where we had this, bobble plus fetch land start.
Yeah, it's interesting. So typically when you associate with these aggro decks, right, you're thinking of these, okay, play creature on 1, maybe play creature on 2, or creature spell on 2, and really get like kind of the burn off the ratios, really start getting that damage through. With the addition of cards like Slick Shot Show Off, you actually throttle back a little bit on a traditional aggro look, I'd say, and more towards a combo look, where you really try to get it done a lot of the time in one go. And that can mean setting up. You actually have setup turns as this aggressive deck. You can use your Elegant Parlor and your bobbles, things like that. Take a turn off, set up your draws, and then start to really get the ball rolling on turn 2 or later, as we see Adam Weiss punching 6 damage through on turn 2, putting Ryan Vasquez immediately to 14. Still no creature in play for the Prowess deck. Only 12 of those available. It's, of course, Monastery Swiftspear, Dragon's Rage Channeler, and then the Slick Shot Show Off, which is kind of the breakout card, I'd say, from Outlaws of Thunder's Junction in the modern format for the most part, just being very powerful and aggressive. Sylvan Safekeeper, not the best blocker, but good against protecting the creatures that need to be protected in order to combo.
We do see from Adam Weiss here. Yeah, Lava Dart very well positioned against some of these Nadu creatures, but also Adam just has Play with Fire, a Pioneer staple in hand, ready to go.
Oh, I love me some Play with Fire. That's the card I preferred over any of the burn spells in my Phoenix deck, just because it could go face and the scry actually matters. Adam Weiss playing it here in Modern, love to see it. Now, let me tell you, if I'm Ryan Vasquez, I am not excited to see Lava Dart across from the table. My God, so many excellents in this Nadu combo deck, including, of course, Sylvan Safekeeper, the Springheart Nantuko. Now, we are hedged a little bit with the Delighted Halflings Giver Rune stuff, but this draw has looked very soft to Lava Dart, despite no creatures from Adam Weiss.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see sort of, just how effective old cards can become. We saw Harsh Mentor last round. We kind of, you and I were joking before how it's sort of an MH3 card, right? Like it wasn't really played before, but now that MH3's out, it actually becomes a playable card. And we're seeing things like Lava Dart, which have always been quite good, sort of rise back up in prominence and how effective they are because decks like Nadu lean on a lot of X1s early.
Right. In-step Play with Fire. So here's part of the power of the card. It kind of functions as a cantrip in its own way, but doing the thing that the aggressive decks want to do, dealing damage and still dealing a scry, which I believe Adam Weiss left on top. Here's land number 4, 3 mana, going to be light up the stage. Done the hard way. So we're kind of doing a burn impression. This deck is called Prowess. We've yet to see a creature. Now finally finding the creatures off the light up the stage. It looks more like a burn deck, which maybe is not necessarily the right half of the combo that I think Adam would prefer to draw, but choosing not to deploy Monastery Swiftspear, leaving this Arid Mesa up instead. Lots of blockers on the other side of the table. Not really any good attacks anyway. And we're going to go ahead and fetch on in-step here with the new Flooded Strand from the MH3 sets. And we'll see. I mean, theoretically, a combo could happen this turn. Urza Saga is coming off. Now, if Nadu is available, I mean, there is a Lava Dart that is still known about that could be flashed back. But outside of that, Adam looks mostly out of gas. Combo could happen here.
Yeah, and this is one of the strengths of the Nadu deck is it can present this kind of stuff. And Ryan also has the One Ring. Now, worth noting, this Nadu deck currently that Ryan's playing doesn't have Shadow Spear in the deck. That's a card you normally see as a staple of these Urza Saga decks because of matchups like this. You just make a construct, grab your Shadow Spear, equip it up, and suddenly Adam is in a huge, world of trouble. Ryan doesn't have access to that. All we have is sort of combo enablers when it comes to our tutorable cards here. So, we're going to see Ryan have to play sort of into Adam's removal, and will matter of can Adam put the pressure and enough removal to stop it. And I think we have quarter calling for Nadu here.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's for 3. Yeah, we have the mana floating, I believe, that we just used. So this looks to be for 3, no mana available. And now Adam, once again, does have the Lava Dart. I believe no cards in hand from what I can see. Has to choose, does he want to try and Lava Dart now? Yeah, that mana's gone. So this is for 3.
Yeah, interesting too. It's one of those positions where you kind of just have to go for it here, because if you don't, Nadu's going to get you that extra trigger. Even if Ryan doesn't go for Nadu, you have all these lands. So it makes a lot of sense for Adam to sort of preemptively do this, even if Ryan has some other weird plan in mind. Now, obviously, it is going to be Nadu coming down. And this is very different than what we saw with Connor Malele in round 1. Connor, always had the Spring Heart in play or in hand to play after the Nadu. So we never really had too much of a fear of a fail rate. Here, it could happen to Ryan. We're only going to get to look at the top 6 cards of our deck. Now, we know there's a Wall of Roots in Ryan's hand that he can play and sort of get another equip along with some mana. So we're going to have to see how it goes. But if he hits a bunch of non-lands, this could be very bad for Ryan, as we're seeing a bunch of non-lands get flipped in the road here, Drake.
No lands. Yeah, wow. One more? This is the last one?
What?
No lands?
Yeah, you see Ryan. And Adam with the fist bump. You love to see it now. Good news for Adam. He gets another turn. Bad news for Adam.
He gets another turn.
Yeah, Ryan's going to probably get another turn. And, Ryan did hit the Spring Heart Nantuku there. And, I don't believe in superstition, but I think he's a pretty big favorite to hit a land if we get to do this again next time.
That was a lot of cards to look at, not 5 land. That's a lot.
He will have 8 looks minimum at that point, because the Spring Heart also gets equipped twice. And, we can also play stuff like Wall of Roots, which, generated some mana, and another look too. So I think Ryan's going to be, a heavy favorite if he is able to untap with Nadu in play. Real question is, can he untap with Nadu in play? Because if we kill this Nadu somehow, we're in huge trouble, because we can't actually deploy it unless we top deck a land. I don't think we even have a Nadu in hand to deploy as a secondary one.
Right, yeah, I think it's still just like chords and things of that ilk. But I mean, you're still talking about the basically worst possible turn that just happened for Ryan, assuming that he was going to find a Nadu, right? Lost his enabler in the form of the Spring Heart Nantuko. Nadu came into play, bricked, by all definitions for the most part on the Nadu activations, but still basically just assembled a draw 6. Like, how bad is that really? And this is part of the strength, I'd say, of these Nadu combos. This is part of why there's this massive outcry for what is this card? What is it doing? Because even these bad draws, it looks like, okay, Ryan doesn't have a lot of resources, only 2 lands in play, some mopey tokens, but he does have the Nadu and the Shuko, so guess what? Here's 6 cards. You drew 6, and we're sitting here talking about how bad that was for him, because, obviously the game's not about that and all that stuff. Still a very powerful position for Ryan, even though he did brick, I'd say. Is here comes Slick Shot, show off to see if Adam can start to turn things in his favor. We're pitching Endurance and Response.
Yeah. I guess he's doing that because Adam has another Lava Dart in the graveyard.
Okay.
And so he wants to make it so if Adam's going to, use the dart, it is going to, not get any triggers on the Slick Shot. This is going to help so Ryan doesn't have to actually block with his Nadu. Right. Now, we know Adam can sack a land, hit the Nadu, and then bolt the Nadu because he drew it. But if he does that, that's also 2 triggers for Ryan on the Nadu. Nadu gets whenever it's targeted.
Goodness.
So really tough spot here, as Adam's going to let the Endurance resolve. And Adam maybe regretting not playing that Monastery Swiss Spear last turn, as it's kind of just...
Yeah, I would have had to have fetched, and maybe... I guess saving it for Elegant Pollers and things of the like, saving some damage. But yeah, now the Swift Spear is staying on defense, as is the Slick Shot show off. Not really the look you want to see, because now, as you mentioned, Ryan, a heavy favorite untapping. Here comes Spring Heart Nantuko, and there's the lands, and things are going to start to roll very quickly. If we bricked last turn, I can't imagine we're bricking this turn, right?
Yeah, Adam's saying, hey, make sure, and I love this from Ryan here, flipping his creature upside down to notify it's happened. I'm going to say with these 2 fetch lands, Ryan is, basically a lock.
3 fetch lands.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other problem, is this, like, let's say Ryan somehow does fizzle. Well, he's going to have all this mana available to him, which means it's really hard for him to fizzle. And then he's going to have things like the One Ring that he can play that just make it so Adam can't kill him. So it's a little interesting. Now, what we're seeing here is there's 2 dice there. That's just representing the number of tokens that have been used by Nadu combo. We're sort of just moving them over so the board state doesn't become some unreadable thing. But yeah, Ryan also is playing the Thassa's Oracle in his deck. We talked earlier about how, you can play Cephalid Coliseum, and that gives you sort of like a cleaner kill because like you don't have to play a card like Oracle and it fits in your mana base. Ryan here just will eventually get the deck really low in Oracle. And, honestly, I kind of want Ryan just to fetch Drake. I kind of just want to be like, just like whatever, I'll go to 5, get all this land, and trigger everything a million more times.
People complained a lot. I heard a lot of like takes on the website, if you will, about how unmanageable this would be in paper. Like this Nadu combo is such a mess. Magic Online, you have to move all this stuff around. But I'm not gonna lie, this looks fine. Like, I don't feel like what's happening here is unreadable compared to some combos that we've seen. KCI loops where you just flow your hands around and that indicates that you're dead or whatever. Like here we're talking about, all right, like we see each token being used. We see things represented in a readable way. Even if there's a lot of permanence, like it's still clear for the most part what's happening. So this is less bad than I thought it was going to be. Coming into this weekend, I was like, oh boy, like we're going to have to sit here and watch this happen for hours on end. But like you mentioned, the fetch is starting to happen. We're going to go through all these cards, and like Thassa's Oracle is going to cleanly wrap this up. And, Ryan can explain this to Adam Weiss, but for the most part, I mean, I think this is going to be pretty trivial. I don't think this is something that's going to be, a bunch of waving hands around, magic happens, and Adam's dead. I think it's all going to be pretty crystal clear, and I think it is pretty rolled up at this point. There's a lot of looks, and yeah, we're counting now to see this.
I think it's deterministic, because Ryan can just fetch the other lands out of his deck. Those are all thinning 3 cards, essentially, right? Because of Shuko activation plus the land leaving the deck. And then we have 7, 8, 9 before any fetch lands, which means that's 18 more cards. So, like, Ryan plus can play spells from his hand, like Nadu to do it again. And that's the game. So, it looks like Adam's basically saying, hey, show me how you're going to win. And Ryan's saying, like, look, I've got blue lands. I will play, Thassa's Oracle.
There's the
Ryan's actually using
too.
both. Interesting.
Wow.
So, deciding to have both those in his deck means that he can beat some of those weirder things we talked about in game number 1 that might be a weird out. But congratulations to Ryan there winning game 1. And, pretty impressive stuff there from the Nadu deck.
Yeah, I mean, this is a matchup I would imagine is not great, because when you talk about creature combo decks versus a deck full of burn spells that can double as removal spells, I wouldn't imagine that's a good matchup. You just pick off the combo pieces constantly. But and I said that when I saw the Lava Dart, interactions, I was like, oh boy, this is a disaster. But Nadu just being able to enter the battlefield and get to work right away does so much to flip the narrative in this matchup. And obviously it's going to require some adjustment. And Adam Weiss, this deck has to have been on his radar. So even though he's down a game, has to be ready in the sideboard. And I think we're going to get a look at his sideboard here in just a second.
Yeah, one of the things going this weekend is everyone knew Nadu, Ruby Storm, and then Flage control decks. Those are sort of 1A, 1B, and then Flage sort of down a little bit, not quite at that tier 1 status. So if anyone came into this weekend prepared, like Adam is, because he's playing the Pro Tour next week, in a week from now, he'll be battling there. He has definitely got to have this matchup in mind.
Yeah, definitely. And so with that, let's take a look at the sideboard. Got 3 copies of Harsh Mentor, 2 copies of Obsidian Charmoth, 3 copies of Searing Blaze, 2 copies of Brotherhood's End, 1 Wear Tear, 2 copies of Tormod's Crypt, and then 2 Curse of Shaken Faith. So we talked about Harsh Mentor a lot already. I have to imagine that card's coming in, and that's going to be the case for those Nadu decks. Any other adjustments that we're going to be looking to make here in this Prowess deck?
Yeah, so Harsh Mentor, like you said, it's great. I can see a world where Searing Blaze is a way for you to keep pressure up on your opponent. We've seen traditionally from burn decks how, you go 1 drop into, like your Monsters with Spear, they play their Delighted Halfling, whatever. You go land, deal you through attack for 2. Suddenly that's a huge tempo swing. Searing Blaze, very good against these creature decks. So I'm going to imagine that comes in. I don't think cards like Curse of Shaken Faith are exactly perfect for this matchup. I think that's much more a card for Storm. But you could maybe see, depending on how Adam wants the sideboard, he might bring this in as like a 1-of. But that card much more as a Storm targeted hate card.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Definitely, I like the Searing Blaze call out. I think, boarding out some of these cards like the Lava Spike shaped stuff, maybe even Boros Shrimp, stuff like that. Things that deal a bunch of damage to the player for things that can hit the player and the creature is definitely a solid upgrade for Adam Weiss. So quite a bit of options. I mean, that's already 6 cards. And if you want anything else beyond that, you're looking at some heavy sideboarding. So we mentioned Adam Weiss going to have tools. Definitely does. Let's have a look at Ryan Vasquez, see how ready he is for some red strategy. So as we mentioned, this is a traditional Bant look, not the 4-color stuff that we've seen from people like Connor. And his sideboard is going to look different as a result. We got 2 copies of Path to Exile, 2 copies of Pick Your Poison, 2 copies of Veil of Summer, 1 Endurance, 1 Force of Vigor, 1 Haywire Might, 1 Kataki War's Wage, 1 Lavinia Azorius Renegade, 1 Orm's Chant, 1 Pithing Needle, 1 Skyglade Apparition, and 1 Soul Guide Lantern. Quite a toolbox of a sideboard. What kind of adjustments are we making for the red matchup?
Yeah, there's a ton of different ways Ryan could go about this, and it really depends on how he wants to play the matchup. One of the ways he could go about this is we could see cards like Path to Exile come in. That, probably more in the sideboard for things like Amulet Titan as a way to answer those big Titans for 1 singular mana. But here could be a nice way to stop some of the early aggression. Yes, Adam will get that extra mana to cast his spells, but if Adam doesn't have a way to refuel, doesn't super matter. Beyond that, we could see a lot of differing other things. I imagine a card like Pick Your Poison is going to come in. That gives you an answer to any sort of hate cards Adam could be playing, and also lets you kill a DRC or a Slick Shot. So imagine stuff like that. And probably Orm's Chant might be another card that's going to come in. Just make it so Adam can't cast spells or attack on a singular turn. Could be a great way for Ryan to sort of steal a game that he might be normally going to lose.
Yeah, I love that. And we see, actually, while shuffling, we saw a Path to Exile there. So definitely need the answers to Harsh Mentor. That's going to be part of the equation for Ryan. And as you mentioned, some other tools to maybe keep yourself from dying or from your creatures from dying. And Giver of Runes is one of those. Both these players starting off with a 1-mana creature, Dragon Channeler versus Giver of Runes. Good against Lava Dart is Giver of Runes in many ways. So, Ryan already, I'd say with a better start, he won game 1, but with a better start than he had in game 1, which maybe is an indictment on this matchup in some way or another. We'll see if Adams, already starting with a creature is a better than last game. Did not have a creature till turn 4 or 5 from last game, and able to play with fire. This Giver of Runes, get a Surveil going is a big part of the equation, and some beatdowns.
Yeah, and one of the upsides of having cards like Play with Fire over maybe something like Rift Bolt is just that immediacy in casting it. Obviously the Prowess deck traditionally didn't play Rift Bolt, but it's double bolt, Drake. That's exciting.
I love this. Surveil top, reveal double lightning bolt. What's up? You want to play a creature?
Yeah, if I'm Adam and I see the bolt on top and then I flip, I'm like, what? Did I sleight of hand? What happened? How did this occur? As we already see,
look at Play with Fire there. That one's as you mentioned, uncommon in Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Not seen as much in Modern, seen a little bit more in Pioneer, where the shock style effect is a little more common. But that Scry 1 has already looked relevant for Adam, and interested to see that here. But the classic, the alpha staple Lightning Bolt there in Exile can play both of these this turn. No creatures played for Vasquez, so that means those are going upstairs if Adam wants to cast them, which I imagine at least one of them has to be worth casting.
Yeah, I have to agree as well. And getting the Surveil from the DRC, this is one of the advantages of the Prowess deck, right? We've seen Prowess sort of surpass Burn for the most part before MH3 because of things like this, where you get to sculpt your draw a little bit more. You get to kind of play a longer game. You can chain spells. Now, normally, those are Izzet decks. Adam here is playing a Boros deck. So Prowess looking at a little different than even before MH3, and a lot of players really liking Burn post MH3 due to cards like Eidolon of the Great Revel. So it's interesting to see Adam's sort of, unique take on this. He did win the RC playing the Gruul aggro deck. He is someone who loves to play these aggressive Burn decks here for Team Flex slot. And taking a bit of a different approach, but could have, the right sauce to solve these problems,
Sauce, huh? He's got all the sauce. Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting take because it is kind of splitting the difference. It's like I am a Burn deck in many ways and can play a game very similar to how Burn does, nearly creatureless. But also if I draw a creature, they're just great. But I'm not playing with maybe, weaker creatures like Goblin Guide in today's era. Patrick Sullivan rolling around in his basic mountains, but Goblin Guide's not getting it done in Modern in 2024.
I thought you were about to say something very different about Patrick Sullivan rolling around. Anyways, we do see a lot of us going down to 4. Ryan goes, and listen, Ryan has some basics. We saw that, but his deck has a lot of shock lands, and I think he has to get very lucky to win from here, and I don't know if he actually even can win on this turn. He can definitely do some things to set up to win for the next turn, like we see the Path to Exile. That's going to answer that DRC. Adam decided to use Lava Spike over doing something like Light Up the Stage in order to sort of put Ryan on more damage if he tried to go for the combo, but it's an interesting spot to be.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there's life that he needs to use in his lands. That's true of the combo a lot of the time too. Even though you don't have to spend much, it has looked so far that the combo actually isn't lifeless. Like you can't really win from one because you need to fetch. You need to, sometimes tap your Coliseum, whatever, things like that. You need some untapped mana. A lot of times that requires life payment to get the specific color sources you need. You don't have it all in your basics. And so already any amount of life spent puts you in bolt range. And taking the turn off to not play creatures in the face of those lightning bolts meant they go upstairs. And that maybe is actually not what you want, because maybe a creature dying is worth having a little bit more life to work with if you need the time to combo. But, Path to Exile is going to mean light up the stage is a little bit worse because it does cost full retail without that free creature attack. But, I mean, if there's Boros Charm still in Adam Weiss's deck, he just draws one and he wins on the spot. And there's still no creatures in play for Ryan Vasquez. So very far behind is Ryan, and not really looking to be in a position to catch up all in one go like Nadu is known to do.
Exactly, yeah. And I really like this Path to Exile here on the main phase from Ryan. Just in case Adam has something like a Play with Fire, he doesn't want to let Adam, respond with Play with Fire, Surveil, and then scry towards that burn spell. Ryan knows that if he's going to win, he needs to get a little bit lucky.
Adam certainly drew, did get a little lucky. Drew a lightning bolt, which enables the spectacle for one for the light up the stage, which is going to find Harsh Mentor and a land. Oh,
yeah, definitely a situation. Yeah, light up the stage underneath there. No worries there. And for the Mentor, and if Ryan has another path, it might not be the end of the world, but I think he's on like mostly lands, and yeah, he's going to pick him up. Harsh Mentor looking pretty nice in this matchup.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll finish the job off right away. Fetch land already turned off from the lightning bolt. Now double turned off from Harsh Mentor. So, now he's been stone rained and, of course, can't even activate the Shuko, even if he has untapped land, lifeless Nadu. Like, there's just nothing you can do. And Harsh Mentor looks great, but also just the traditional aggressive burn plan is really the core of what worked there for Adam Weiss in game number 2. The light up stage revealing 2 lightning bolts is, put Ryan in the spot where it's like, are you going to play a creature? No? Okay, well, then you're going face and you're just dead. And it's just like you can't really win no matter what path you take. And now we get a game 3 between the aggressive deck and the combo deck.
And we're seeing the differences too, just like we talked about a little bit with Adam's deck. MH2 metagame, there's a lot more grinding and interactiveness, right? Like one of the things, love it or hate about MH2 meta was that it was extremely interactive. Decks like 4-color were like kind of omnipresent in a way that you would not have expected if I talked to you from 2018 about Modern, right? If I told you there's this grindy 4-color interactive deck that can't really win, you'd be like, how does it ever beat anything? And it's like, well, it turns out it has enough answers, it's fine. And so it was really good. And we also saw like other things like Scam really put a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of things going on. And we saw the prowess players move to things like Expressive Duration and Preordain to kind of be able to keep up fighting through those slug of spells. Now, we talked about Ruby Storm, we talked about Nadu. People are going fast, and Adam, I think, has made a really smart decision to be like, listen, I want to have cards like DRC to kind of sculpt my draw. I want to have these prowess creatures that can go fast. I want to have Lava Dart. But instead of playing these little like dinky cantrips, I just want to play Lava Spike. I want to play Boros Charm. And instead of playing things like Expressive Iteration, I'll play Light Up the Stage to really lean into that I am a burn deck. And I'm going to burn you with this prowess backup plan, and let's be a prowess deck that has some burn spells. And I think that switch makes a lot of sense with what's going on.
Yeah, and it's a meaningful switch too, because it also lets you tailor your approach in sideboard games. If you want to be more creature focused, you have that option. If you want to pull back on creatures, it's not unreasonable to board out a lot of your weaker creatures and for just other interactive cards in the matchup and really give a burn look. Being able to split the difference like this means that your sideboard options are opened up, as well as maybe just getting the best of both worlds. Now, these players both did not really make any sideboard changes, so we're not really going to talk too much about additional sideboard options. I think both players, we saw Harsh Mentor, and Ryan didn't even make any changes from there. So it's clear any preparation he was going to have for the card, he had already done. Both these players did not make any changes, didn't even reach for the sideboard, shuffled up, new hands, ready to go. Ryan on the play, starting with Misty Rainforest.
Yep. And this is really important. Like it comes up a lot in Magic. Play draw matters a lot. It matters a ton against Adam, because this means Ryan can fetch something, like a Surveil land here and not fall so far behind against Adam, right? If he's on the draw and is spending his turn 1 setting up his mana doing this, it is extra bad because, Adam gets that first turn. He gets to compound these things, right? Ryan here gets to sort of lose that initiative, didn't get to play anything turn 1, but now, he's much more at par with Adam instead of falling so far behind Adam. So we're going to see the Surveil here and see if he can set up the cards he needs, as he does have the Spring Heart in hand.
Less Portico involved. Something that I'm kind of surprised not to see, maybe this is just because I'm old, is we're looking at, I'm serious, I'm so serious. Yeah. Ryan Vasquez like reach just for this Stoneforge Mystic package as his backup, right? This is something that is part of his bet, like accommodations. Is instead of reaching for any kind of interaction with other colors, I'm actually just gonna have this other proactive plan that works well with just having mopey creatures laying around. I can swim up with equipment and things like that. Also helps find your Shuko, all the fun stuff like that. Traditionally, and back in my day, you would pair this with a Batter Skull for some of the aggressive matchups. It gives you a big life linker. It can really just be the thing that matters in this matchup. And also, you also have this combo you can reach for as well. With no Batter Skull in Ryan's deck, he only has Shuko and Cauldron Complete in the main deck. And I don't even think we saw any additional equipment in the sideboard like you'll sometimes see with Stoneforge, heavy Stoneforge decks. We're actually maybe a little bit far behind. Stoneforge Mystic almost looks weak in this matchup, where otherwise it could maybe present something of true meaning, where Batter Skull was actually very strong against these decks with Lava Spike in them, Interesting to see that exclusion to me.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes with time. I imagine Ryan might be worried about more traditional burn with something like Searing Blaze being such a blowout and Batter Skull being so much weaker than Cauldron on the average. But I agree that listen, if you think the metagame is like Nadu, Storm, some control decks, and Burn, it makes a lot more sense to have Batter Skull at least on your radar as something for the weekend. So I agree. I'll be interested to see. This is one of the cool things about modern formats like this. They evolve over time. That being said, Springheart Nantuku was played. We put a landfall trigger on the stack, and Adam is considering, if he wants to fetch and cast this burn spell, potentially was supposed to maybe fetch in response with the Nantuku on the board in case of a fetch line like this. But now, sort of has to just untap and can't use his mana, else the Nantuku is going to get another token, which actually might be huge because of cards like Quarter Calling.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's really a good way to do this. We do have Surveil lands in Adam's deck, and he already has a lot of spells he wants to deploy. Not clear even if he wants to go for this Nantuko at all, or if he wants to just try to get Delirium set up for these Dragon's Rage channelers, fly over it and be like, I'm just going to kill you, and not even go for the creature, which kind of seems to be what's going on, leading on Lava Spike and doing some surveilling, but we're already thinking really hard on this first surveil. I don't know how good the card has to be on top. We're talking like Harsh Mentor or something in order for the first surveil when you're playing on casting a bunch of spells to be good. Yeah, Lightning Bolt, no, get that one out of here. Get that one out of here. Lava Dart too. If it's not just the best card of the matchup, I want it gone, because I want these Dragon's Rage channelers to be online. If I am Adam Weiss, see if he's going to go for this Nantuko at all. I mean, that has to be the decision point here. Is do you just reach for things like Boros Charm, go face, and be like, all right, please don't kill me next turn? I mean, no Shuko, no Nadu already in play. That's a lot to roll up in one turn, but it also is only 4 mana to have both. And we're going to a turn where Ryan will have 4 mana. So a tough decision point, and we're responding to the in-step fetch here, and we are going to go after the Springheart Nantuko. No attacks from the Dragon's Rage Channeler means the damage from this turn, little low, but Mishra's Bauble going to make sure they're online now here on in-step with the fetch.
Yeah, and I like Ryan basically is like, hey, I have to fetch shock, so I'm going to take a ton of damage, and if I have to fetch shock, if I don't do this now, Adam sort of has initiative. I can get him to tap out a little bit, and I have Shuko already in hand. So, if I can draw something like a Nadu, play Nadu, Shuko, maybe hit some lands, and then, get the Springheart in play there, maybe do some Endurance and Quarter Calling shenanigans to see sort of what will happen. But yeah, Ryan sort of just had to pull the trigger there. Luckily was able to dodge Adam's attack return, but picked up the One Ring with no 4th land, I think, Drake.
I think he has 2 copies of the One Ring with no 4th land, right? Yeah.
Oh.
That's tough. I mean, Quarter Calling present. This Endurance is set to be pretty good. I mean, one of the better cards against Dragon's Rage Channeler. So if we can get that one in, have it resolve, and you're not just dead, that could buy you some time. But having 2 copies of the One Ring with no 4th land is a really tough spot for the Nadu combo deck.
Yeah, great call out there on the Endurance. It is going to be very real. We're seeing Adam upkeep play with fire, just getting some surveils, getting some scry action, trying to set up his draw so that he can kill Ryan. Because Adam knows, hey, if Ryan doesn't have lands, he has a lot of action, and he didn't deploy anything to the board. So Adam might be thinking there's a card like Court of Calling coming down. In reality, it's Endurance.
Before blocks, Endurance, sure, says Adam Weiss. 2 cards that go hand. Do we want to do any kind of indestructible nonsense with Boros Charm? That doesn't feel good. Do we want a Lava Dart with this on the stack? Unclear.
Yeah, there's so much going on here for Adam. I have no clue where to even start, if I was Adam in this spot. My gut is I would probably want to fetch, before I get my surveils going, because the bottom of my deck could happen, and we might just Lava Dart down this Nantuku token, but looks like Adam's going to actually save his lands. Valley's being able to deploy all his spells off the top a bit more, which makes sense with cards like Boros Charm in his hand. He can set up with the Surveils here. But I'm interested too. Is he going to go for the Indestructible line? Because this is low-key a board wipe because we didn't go for the Lava Dart on the token.
Yeah, so we could do some stuff before blocks too, right? Like to try to rebuild Delirium. Like we could go fetch Boros Charm face, and then if we hit specifically like sorcery creature or artifact is interchangeable there, we need to hit 2 types and 2 surveils, which is really hard to do. But you can put 2 types face up in yard, and yeah, maybe that's what we're going to try to do right now. We do see the fetch, like you said, we're weighted on the fetch, which to me signals that we're trying to rebuild Delirium in some way. And here comes an untapped Sacred Foundry. So Boros Charm's available. So yeah, we can do some indestructible stuff to stop the Wrath effect. That is 4 damage we're giving up on, and no damage coming across for the creatures. You do get to trade with the insect, or sorry, you do get to kill the insect token, which is not 0, but Boros Charm's typically a better card in this matchup than that.
Yeah, Boros Charm's double strike mode, is that all creatures or a target creature?
Let's get Boros Charm up on the
I was going to say, I'm
alternate modes of Boros Charm,
it's target creature. Okay, I was going to say all creatures, I probably would see that happen a bit more. If it was, we might see the
artifact creature?
We did it.
There's Boros Charm on the screen, so not clear what mode was chosen there. I didn't get a good look. It was not permanent to control get indestructible. That wouldn't have happened. It looks like we chose deal 4 damage because we have Orion at 8. And the insect is dead, and we have a Dragon's Rage challenge that's a 3/3. We did it.
Yeah. And, listen, Ryan's got to be like, oof, that sucks, But for Ryan's, perspective, he also is very close to Nadu comboing here, really wanting to hide this Shuko. He's had multiple turns where he could have developed it, but decided to hold off on doing it every single time here. I think trying to hopefully get Ryan to tap out on a spot where he, maybe shouldn't, in air quotes.
Right.
Lava Spike
going to 5. And this is tough, because the Dragon's Reach has to attack into this 3/4 Reacher. And I believe only 1 card left in hand for Adam. And now with Delighted Halfling resolving and staying alive, now we have our 4th mana source, and things like the One Ring are on the menu if we want. If not, here we go. We can just deploy Giver, and we have Court of Calling up. We can play the Shuko finally if we want. Options are beginning to open up for Ryan, and a lot of the steam is out from under Adam. Those Dragon's Reach channelers, we mentioned pretty bad against Endurance. This Endurance has single-handedly saved Ryan this game, and it looks like Play with Fire and a land is Adam's leftovers. That doesn't get Ryan dead.
Yeah, and if you're Ryan, you have a pretty good idea because Adam binned the cards. The last card in hand is something like Lava Spike, right? So Ryan knows that it's probably either some weird sideboard card or a land in Adam's hand. Just nothing else really makes sense. So we are going to see Nadu come down, and the combo's going to start, and that's the Nantuku, Drake. Now, question is, can we get it in play without losing enough life, via fetching and everything else in order to keep the combo going? And
that's that forest is huge. I think that's exactly the equation. If he fetch shocks, that Play with Fire is lethal, but we're hitting lands now, unlike the first time we did this entire combination. And that's going to provide, we're reading Outriders in core. We've seen this one before. Yeah, another enabler there as the Shuko's going to town. Interesting to see that we did not deploy the Springheart Nantuko with all these lands we're hitting. We're just going to keep going on the creatures we have now.
Yeah, agreed. I wonder if Ryan maybe is just, got a little tunnel visioned on doing his thing.
Beat downs, huh? Okay.
This also going to be a spot where Ryan's just like, I'm going to fetch and put the One Ring into play, but I doubt that's good enough to actually win. I do think he needs to probably try to win this turn.
Do that. Oh, he just wants the One Ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that's going to give Ryan protection. Now, Adam can, respond here and do something like Play with Fire Ryan, put him to 3, get a Scry, and if he hits a Bolt, well, unless Ryan has some instant speed life gain card in his deck via that he can tutor with a cord, he will be dead. So kind of giving Adam a turn here to maybe, get out of the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, this is interesting. Like I said, you have Giver of Rune protection. So if you play Springer and Tuco, there's not a lot of risk. That was part of the reason to play that card over doing other things in the previous turn, playing something like the One Ring in the previous turn. And now, like you said, this Play with Fire is going to put Ryan to 3. If we find an instant speed effect, it doesn't even have to be a Bolt. It could be another Play with Fire because we're going to take 1 minimum if we tap this One Ring at all, which I assume, maybe not. Maybe that's not part of the plan because we have so many cards with Nadu, so you just don't need to. So maybe it needs to be Bolt. Is Lightning Bolt is the draw?
Yeah, and you have to wonder if you're Ryan, when you look back on this, what's going to happen here? Adam looks like he's going to wait because, from Adam's perspective, he doesn't want to get got by anything sort of weird. So he wants to wait until the last possible second just in case. Now, Ryan's deploying the Spring Heart.
Yeah, that's part of the question. How long do you wait? Like, because the Shuko's sorcery speed, you can respond at any point. We can't just combo on top of this lightning bolt. What are we waiting for? What are we looking for?
My guess is that I don't know for sure. Maybe there's something Adam knows that I don't hear. I would have probably done it with the Shuko activation on the stack or the first spell on the stack. Now Adam might be able to tutor for something like Haywire Might, but I don't think he has a way to kill it because I think Haywire Might can only hit opposing cards. So
right,
I'm a little unsure as to what Adam is waiting for. It is possible that Adam is just like wanting to make sure he can beat as much as possible and thinks that the best way to do that is to wait for something like a Court of Calling to go on the stack.
Haywire Might's in hand. I obviously Adam doesn't know that. Haywire Might is in hand for Ryan. And I believe I'm going to quickly check your math to see if this is something that can be sacrificed willy-nilly. Exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. So this can hit your own stuff.
Yeah. Now,
so
you can't. Yeah, but at this point, like you said, it's in the hand. So that might be what Adam is waiting for. Is he's waiting to make Ryan
to see it be drawn. That way, I know it's in hand, and you can't cord for it. That could be part of the equation. Yeah,
and so this might be really funny where Adam might just feel like he's going to have to last second, bolt Ryan and hope the last card in his deck isn't Haywire Might. If Ryan goes for an early
Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, this is a weird tension. Okay, so this looks like Ryan is just set to win. I mean, so many 1/1s. This combo is deterministic, I believe, at this point with all these lands and all this mana and backup Nadu. I believe we can deterministically go through the cards left in deck. There's Thassa's Oracle. And Haywire Might is in hand, and we're pulling Thassa's Oracle to the front, doing some quick math. I believe we're about to try to shortcut this, and Adam's going to say, no, sir, wait just one moment. And Lightning Bolt, I believe there's no outs to this Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, if Ryan had the Haywire, we could gain a little life. We could do something here. But, from Ryan's perspective, too, he might just be like, oh, Adam just, doesn't know blah 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 and doesn't understand.
Yeah, do it for the camera,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Adam's just like, oh god, I hope Haywire Might is like the last card in your deck so much. As it looks like we're gonna cast the Oracle. This is lethal if the trigger resolves. There are 3 cards in deck, and Adam Weiss has the bolt.
Bolts you, and Ryan's going to the hand. What can I do about that?
If I was Ryan, I would just cast my cord for as much as I could because that's all you can.
I mean, you have all these 1/1s that don't do anything else. So
like maybe I forgot something in my deck, but most of the decks in Ryan's hand here, and Adam, took this line to try to play around Haywire Might, and it looks like it's going to pay off. Even though Adam didn't see the Haywire Might, we talked about this.
It is in hand, right? I think it's one of the first cards. I mean, there's so much here. I'm pretty sure it's
I mean, listen, if Ryan is probably going to
cast not, that's a big deal because then, I mean, obviously it goes the other way.
Ryan seems to think he's not dead. / maybe Ryan's like, how can I be dead? I have so many cards.
That's what I would be. I have all these cards. There's no way that I'm just like dead to a bolt. Like, come on, I comboed. Like, come on. There's no way to not die?
Yeah, honestly, Drake, one thing that's jumping out of my head, which is maybe, old man me, you talked about you with Battle Skull, Pact of Negation, that's a card I'm thinking about right now where it's like, that's one where, oh no, I lose next turn. Oh no.
Why don't we have something? Yeah, I don't know. I would want a creature, I think, because Court of Calling is at least instant speed, whereas the Shuko stuff's not. So you can't draw your deck in instant speed for the Pact. So maybe I don't know.
I don't think he has
Angel of Grace, something. I don't know. Is there something?
So I mean, it's possible he didn't board in Haywire, right? We talked about this before. Maybe
it is the sideboard. You're correct. It's not a main deck.
Yeah, so it could just be there. But I was paying a lot of attention, while you were saying some smart stuff, and I don't think I saw the Haywire Might. So if he boarded it in, it is in his deck. Now, Ryan does need to make a play. It looks like he doesn't have it. So congratulations to Adam Weiss. And
Adam Weiss wins.
Yeah, you got to wonder, Mr. Ryan, go back and watch this, what could have been. But you know what? This Boros Prowess deck does put a lot of pressure on the opponent and was able to take down Nadu this round. Is going to move on to 2-0.
Yeah, this is exactly a spot as we're going to get Adam in the booth, talk to a little bit about not just his RC win with his prowess deck, but also his decision to play this build of prowess in modern as he did just win. But I think there's a lot of eyes on the Nadu combo deck, especially this weekend, especially leading up to the Pro Tour and things like that. And moments like these are moments that people are going to walk away from and say, man, that sucked to see. What can I do about that? Is there a way that we can set up this combo to be more resilient, more foolproof against, I just get bolted at any point and I'm dead? These are the things, and this is where you talk about combos that are new and how they may not be figured out all the way yet, even though we know the combo face up. What's the best way to actually win the game? Thassa's Oracle versus Teflon Coliseum stuff. What's the way that we can beat interaction? You mentioned Pact of Negation, whatever, any kind of creatures that can make a difference. This is stuff that is going to be figured out as time goes on, and people watching, people at home, they're going to take notes, and people are going to see this, and people are going to learn, people are going to iterate. And this is what's cool about New Modern, and also what's cool about Adam Weiss's decision to just play a prowess. Like, I don't need to figure out how a lightning bolt works. Face, you're at 3. I did the math. And, obviously there's more going on than that. We're going to talk to him about it, but just playing something proactive and powerful, even if it is a more traditional looking modern, going to have some points against these underdeveloped combo decks. And here is the man, the myth, the RC winner himself, Adam Weiss. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much.
So talk to me a little bit about your build of prowess. Obviously, you like your prowess decks. I think that's established at this point. You like your red aggro decks. There's a lot of eyes, I think, on prowess. I'm thinking of people like Ryan Overturf that post about things like Unstable Amulet or the new Raptor and all these energy cards. But your list looks to be, from my perspective, kind of a split between burn and prowess. Talk to me about how you arrived at this deck.
Yeah, so one of the problems Burn has right now is there's just not enough powerful cards in the deck. Like Eidolon isn't good enough in 2024. It doesn't really do anything. Like if I played against Nadu, they I think cast like 3 spells that did anything for it, but like they can just do their combo and kill me without really casting anything. So we tried taking out the bad cards and put in the really good cards like Slick Shot, because Slick Shot's a busted magic card. And then you get to play like the Darcy Bauble variant of Burn that showed up for a little bit. But now with Slick Shot, it's like actually good and actually powerful.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, you're heading into the Pro Tour next week. Obviously, you're 2-0 today. How do you feel about the Modern Horizons metagame? Do you feel good about your Nadu and Ruby Storm matchup, these decks that players are really concerned about?
Yes, because I think with Slick Shot now, it's actually the thing that can kill people on turn 3. Like a Swift Spear, a Slick Shot, a Lava Dart, and Boros Charm is actually enough to kill someone on turn 3, because Boros Charm, you unlock the hidden modes of Double Strike, and it actually kills people. So like a Ruby Storm, you can slow down. Nadu, you can just go faster than they can. So it's actually fast enough. And they don't play any interaction, so it's free.
It's free. So you mentioned, and I want to touch on the Eidolon being a bad card. So you actually pivoted over to this Curse of Shaken Faith, which is, I would say, kind of Eidolon-esque, right? As far as like punishing you for casting spells, but instead of keying off of mana cost, it is this enchantment that is no longer a creature and can't be bolted or removed or whatever, and just cares about future spells after the first. Talk to me about, you decided that Eidolon was not good and reached for the Curse of Shaken Faith for these new Ruby Storm variants instead. Is that, necessary? Is that getting the job done? If you're able to kill these people on turn 3, you're able to outrace them, bolting their rows. Just talk to me about that matchup a little bit.
Yeah, so it's actually decently easy to outrace them, especially like you said, if you bolt their rows, they're really slowed down. Ruby Storm brings in Flame Slash in the sideboard against me because they're expecting Eidolons. And so the curse is just Eidolon that they can't target. And if they need to go like wish for a Pick Your Poison or a Static Prison, it'll probably have done like 10 damage to them by the time they get there. And hopefully they're dead.
Yeah, that's usually more. 10 damage is more than enough to usually get over the line in that way. Yeah, it's a card I'd never seen before. I don't even know that I've read that card before, and I was certainly playing Magic when it was printed.
Yeah,
so that's a nice find.
Yeah, someone recommended it to me online. I was like, oh yeah, this is just the reason we play Eidolon, but good.
But good. A full-time Eidolon hater is Adam Weiss.
Well, Adam, you won the RC. You're 2-0 today. You've been playing these prowess decks. I got to ask you, and you kind of mentioned a second ago, you said Slickshot's a busted Magic card. Do you think that is the thing that has changed so much for you? Is just, obviously putting in hard work and playing really well, but it seems to me that you think, Slickshot's maybe one of the biggest design mistakes in a while, using the word busted, it's pretty big.
I mean, I don't think it's a mistake. I love it.
He's winning with it. I thought it looks good to me.
Yeah, I think it just enables a lot more other strategies. It's really like just the most powerful card from OTJ, which is, I think, saying a lot, honestly. That set is like really powerful overall. But Slickshot's like one of the best red aggro cards we've gotten in the last like 7 years. It's played in 3 formats. It's so good. Hopefully, it can carry me in the PT.
So there you go. It's declared. We're going to be registering some Slickshot show off at the PT as Adam Weiss, your RC winner, and 2-0 here at the Showdown. Maybe making an appearance at the end of the year championship. You can spike this one too. Take it all down. Just win events back to back to back. Just get it all done. Slickshot show off.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. So easy. It's free, as you said. Well, thank you, Adam Weiss, and good luck in the rest of your rounds. Congratulations. Any final shout outs before you carry on to round
shout
number
out
3?
Team Flexlot, and shout out to actually the Burn Discord showing me this like Burn Prowess deck. I would not have registered it, but it's doing great.
Yeah, great. It looks great. So, yeah, like I said, good luck in the rest of your rounds, and hopefully we'll see you again in the top cut, and we can see Slickshot show off, doing a little bit more showing off.
Thank you so much.
And with
Drake,
that
was exciting to see, but I think we have a backup feature match too.
Ooh, I do like more Magic. So we'll see if we can get our backup feature match. And this one of a very different texture, I'd say, than what we just saw.
Yes.
Maybe the same texture, but at least skinned differently. I think we have Jonathan Pikachu. Pikachu is how I'm going to say it. Instead of butchering your last name, I'm sorry. We have Pikachu versus. Oh, I'm sorry. We do not. I guess we don't have time, so we're going to be cutting straight to a break. Well, we did have Pikachu versus Ruby Storm in the backup. We'll see exactly how that played out when we take a look at our players to watch screen, because of course Pikachu is on our players to watch, as is Ty. So that those two people, they did play each other last round. We'll see exactly what happened there when we update the players to watch. But we're out of time in round number 2, so we will be looking forward to round number 3 of Modern Horizons 3 Modern here at the 10K Showdown in St. Louis here in just a moment. But for now, we're going to go to a break. We'll be back soon.
旅の始まりは常に道への一歩である。それは闇へと続く。初めの一歩を踏み出すには勇気がいる。そして旅の終わりには旅を始めた時の自分とは別人になっているかもしれない。旅に出よう。物語の次の章がお主を待っている。将軍の道を歩め。侍の箱とともに。アルティメットガードが送る冒険の第一章。刀将軍の道近日発売。